Welcome to Caribou Cream. Located just up the hill from scenic Lutsen, Minnesota on Caribou Trail, Caribou Cream has been making some of the world's finest pure maple syrup for over 25 years. With its 29 and counting state and national awards, Caribou Cream has been tantalizing taste buds, adding first-rate charm to pancakes and waffles all across the land. We're going to be taking a closer look at the magic behind Caribou Cream's special and unique process, as well as taking a tour of the shop and hearing from the sap master himself, Herb Wills. Let's start at the very beginning, at the top of the hill with the life-giving source to the whole process, the maple trees. In the springtime, the maple trees develop internal pressure due to rising temperatures pushing the sap, or the sugary liquid used to make maple syrup, to flow out of the tree through a wound or a collecting device called a tap. A tap is the apparatus that allows the sap to be collected to be turned into maple syrup. Weeks before the expected sap season, crews go out into the woods and tap the trees in preparation for when the sap starts running. Caribou Cream taps over 3,000 trees each and every year to obtain the coveted sap. The classic tap style for collecting sap consisted of individual buckets in where the sap would drip into the containers to be gathered when they were full. From there, workers would walk into the sugar bush, or forest where the maple trees are, gathering each individual container, pouring them into buckets, and carrying them to localized dumping stations to be picked up later. In the mid-1990s, with a need for an increase of production, Caribou Cream adopted a new style of tapping. In this new style, each individual tree is still tapped. However, instead of using buckets, the small tubing is strung to all the trees, connecting them to a main line in a web-like fashion. With the help of gravity, this main line runs down the hill to be prepared and made into pure maple syrup. Now, Herb Wills, the sap master himself, will explain how his sap matures into Caribou Cream.
So this is where all the sap comes from up in the woods there. Little apparatus right here. Basically it all comes into this vessel right here. There's a pump on here that takes it, pumps it from here up behind us here, the 2,000-gallon tank there via these pipes. And the next step in the operation is there, so it comes from the woods down the pipeline here into this tank. The funny looking trash can on top there's a couple of big filter bags in there where the sap gets filtered into the tank here, so it's nice and clean. So anyway, from this tank here, we usually have a pump system set up over here where it pumps it from this larger tank here to a smaller 800-gallon tank, again where we filter in down to a 10-micron filter there. These tanks here, what we do with the byproduct of this business at the reverse osmosis, we take the sap from the trees, run it through the machine, and the byproduct is called permeate water, pure water, where the sugars have been removed from it. What these tanks are used for is the permeate water. It's called as pure water. We use that for cleaning the membranes on the RO machines after we're all done in production for the day. Reverse osmosis, there's a membrane on the machine. I don't know if you want to see the little stainless steel vessel back there, and you pump it through the membrane, and what happens is the water molecules go one direction, the sugar molecules go another way by all these little different pipes and hoses here. So what these machines do for us is remove about probably 60% of the water for us by pumping it through the membrane on the reverse osmosis machine, which consequently gives us less sap to water to boil off when we get to the wood-fired evaporator, the sugar shack here. So when it goes through the last reverse osmosis machine, it travels from this pipe here, and with this line goes to we call it the hopper tank up there, and what that tank does, we can just kind of walk around here, I guess. That supplies the evaporator inside the sugar house where we boil the rest of the sap off. Okay, so you got to see the little blue line that went up to the hopper tank that I was calling it there. So from that tank there, it feeds this machine here, which is where we boil the rest of the water off and actually make the maple syrup, the final product. So from that tank, it feeds this evaporator right here through this stainless steel pipe. This apparatus is, long story short, it's kind of a preheater. There's a couple of float boxes, they're called, what controls the level of these machines when we're all running here. It comes into here. There's another float down here where it feeds from this apparatus down to this float box down here. And this is called a flue pan in the rear here. There's a lot of boiling off in that part of the pan. And then from these float boxes here, it travels up into the front pan, which we've got water soaking in there right now. We drain out the pans every night for cleaning and have them soaking in to be cleaned the next day or so. The fresher, heavier syrup starts going through the partitions in the front pan here. It's called a syrup pan. And it just kind of zigzags back and forth in these partitions, getting closer and closer, heavier and heavier to maple syrup, to where we get down to these boxes here. They're called draw-off boxes, and this is where we draw off the maple syrup in these valves right here. Maple syrup is 219 degrees or 7 degrees above the boiling point is what we use. We've got a little gizmo here that gives us the temperatures and stuff on here where we can kind of control it. Got a little automatic solenoid valve, it's called, where sometimes it's automatic when we're drawing the maple syrup and stuff off. So we make the maple syrup, we drop it into this apparatus here. It's called a drop tank. There's a pump on there where we pump it around over to this pan over here, which is called a finishing rig. Fill it up with syrup. So this is the finishing pan here. We fill it up with syrup, get the density just right to maple syrup. This apparatus is torn apart. It's called a filter press. We run it through the filter press and filtering it, and we've got a walk-in cooler on the other side of the wall there. We filter it and pump it into stainless steel drums in the cooler there. And that's kind of the end of the first step in the processing stage there.
Other trinkets for sale are scattered around the sugar shack, with wild rice being the second most popular item sold. Pickles, jewelry, kids' toys, and handcrafted walking sticks are also to be found for sale. Caribou Cream operates on an honor system where product is always readily available for purchase, even if no one is in the sugar shack to greet you. Please leave either checks or cash in the basket or slotted drawer, along with marking down what you bought in the purchase book. Don't forget to also sign our guest book on the way out the door. Caribou Cream also does mail orders. To purchase any Caribou Cream product to be shipped to you, please call 218-663-7841 and please leave a message if no one answers. Or visit us online at facebook.com/Caribou Cream.